All right, wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today and welcome to our story time about water today. So we're going to share a little bit of some stories. We're going to talk about some activities, and Helene and I are both going to give you a little bit of information. So first, I just want to make sure that everybody got their packet of information. So you should have gotten a book, either the Hay Water or our little ocean anatomy book. Yep, and I see Sam's got the ocean anatomy book. And then a craft activity or our little fish friends. Oh, I see some fish friends. Wonderful. I see you've got your net and you're holding on to your fish. Well, that's very exciting. So we're going to talk today. We're going to read a story about water. We're going to watch a little video. And then we're going to talk about some fun ways that you can explore about water in your house or in your community or around where you live. And then Helene's going to talk a little bit more about our other book, our ocean anatomy book, and some fun activities about discovery and doing some crafts and different ways to have fun learning about the ocean and the water and all the creatures that we might discover in there. So let me start by sharing our video. Let's see. All right. So can somebody let me know if you can see the video that says read right now? I see a thumbs
Yes.
up. Sam's giving me a thumbs up. Bradley and his mom are giving me a thumbs up. I think we are ready. All right, so now if we can listen, if you're able to hear it, let me know.
Hey, Water by Antoinette Portis. Hey, Water, I know you. You're all around. You spray up and down.
And that said it was the sprinkler that you might have outside and a shower that you might have in your house.
You trickle.
And that's a hose. If you have a yard, you might have a hose in your yard to water flowers or plants. And I'm noticing that all of this water sounds different. All these different kinds of water are making different sounds. Let's listen if there's more sounds.
And gurgle.
That was a stream and it made a gurgling sound.
And rush toward the sea.
That river was loud. That made a loud sound in the river. And I don't know if you can see the boats that are in the water, but this river has 3 boats that are floating along the water.
You cover most of the earth, salty, surging, and mysterious.
Has anybody here ever been to the ocean? Sam says, yes, he's been to the ocean. Sam, have you listened to the waves or felt the waves of the ocean? Yeah, I love going to the ocean. And if you could see in this picture of the ocean, there's a whale and he's hiding inside. So he's swimming in the ocean And I see him, but he's kind of hiding in there. Let's see what other kinds of water we might be able to see and listen to.
Sometimes you lie quiet and calm.
Ooh, that water sounded very different. That was very quiet. Bradley, I see you smiling. I wonder if you liked that one better. Have you been to a lake? Maybe you live near a lake. I know one of my friends near here lives near a big lake. And sometimes there's boats. So you might hear boats and people might go fishing in the lake. So lots of different things to do when we're at the water. Let's see what other kinds of water we might talk about.
So we can splash and play and yell in you.
What one is that? Does anybody know what water this is? Sam, I wonder if you know what this is a picture of.
What does Papa have? What does he have?
Has
You swim in it at the house. What do you swim in?
he's playing on the
Starts with a P.
rubber
Oh,
water.
water.
Yep,
It's
it's water.
Is it a pool? It's a pool.
A pool, you're right. Do you love to go swimming in the pool? Yeah. So this water is inside of the pool. It's not a lake and it's not the ocean, but we can still play in it and we can still go swimming. And maybe if you don't like to go swimming or swimming something you can't do, you could sometimes splash your feet in the water. We can listen to the kids playing in the water. Let's see what other kinds of water there is.
I stomp in you and scatter droplets everywhere.
So this is a puddle. And we have had a lot of rain lately. So there might have been a lot of puddles at your house.
Sam, can you sing a song?
We went stomping in a puddle. Maybe our wheels on our chair went through a puddle. Maybe you heard some of those splashes. That's a different kind of water.
In the morning, you wink at me from blades of grass.
So sometimes the water we see is really big, like those oceans and the lakes, but sometimes water is a small drop. So this is a dewdrop. And it's just the little bit of water that might be on a blade of grass. So sometimes if you go out in the morning and you touch the grass and your hands get wet, that's from the dewdrops.
Sometimes you slide down my cheek without a sound. Sometimes you roar and pour.
So sometimes the water is in the lake or it's in the pool. Sometimes it falls from the sky like those rainstorms that we had. Did you have rain at your house? Was it loud? Yeah, sometimes it can be loud thunderstorms. And sometimes water comes from inside when we're sad and if we might be crying. And that's okay too when we have big feelings.
Water, even when you try to fool me, I know you. You blast and huff. You whistle and puff. You hide in the air and drift.
So sometimes water isn't something we can touch very much. Sometimes water is steam, like if mom is boiling something for dinner and there might be something above the pot, and that's steam, or you might hear a teapot making the noise because of the steam. And sometimes if you go outside, there might be clouds, like right before it rains, and we can't touch those, but they're up in the sky and they're made out of water too.
You drift in the air and hide the world.
And sometimes water doesn't make any noise at all. And we go outside and it's very foggy. And that's water that's kind of floating around in the air. And it can make it hard for us to see, and everything can be really quiet.
Sometimes you freeze hard as a rock that floats.
So sometimes ice is liquid when we can splash in it and it's in the pool. And sometimes sometimes water's in the air and it's kind of like that steam or a cloud. And sometimes ice is hard. So the water turns into ice, and that makes it kind of solid and it's hard. And you could hear the ice when it clinks, or you could feel it in your hand, and it might be really cold, but that's still water.
Or a rock we can skate on. Sometimes you freeze soft as a feather.
So isn't this funny that sometimes water is hard and we can skate on it? So maybe in the winter, we go skating on the pond, and in the summer, we go swimming in that pond, and they're both water. And then sometimes in the winter, that water comes down and it looks like snowflakes and not like rain.
And fancier than lace. But water, I know it's you.
That water likes to disguise itself. So now this water looks like snowflakes, but it's still water.
You're hiding in this funny guy, and you're hiding in me too. Water, you're a part of every living thing.
Water helps us make a snowman when he turns into snow. But water is inside of people and animals and plants too, and helps us be able to move around and do things, and water helps our bodies.
When I'm thirsty, there you are. Hey, water, thank you. If you like.
So I saw lots of different water in there, and I have water in my cup. So I'm drinking some water because that's what I like. And sometimes we use water to get ourselves clean in a shower or a bathtub, and maybe we like to play in there. So that is our book, Hey Water. We learned a lot more about water today. Sam, did you learn something new about water today?
Yeah.
Oh, good. What's something interesting that you thought was in that book?
Sam, what did you like?
I like pretty slim, and your hamster like beach my mommy say.
He likes to go swimming in New Hampshire with his cousins Molly and Chase.
That's wonderful, and that's a great way to play in the water. I
Sam,
wonder what Bradley likes to do in the water.
That's awesome, Sam. Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
In the water.
You like to splash in the water?
Oh, look at friends. Look at the friends.
The fish, and he said
Oh,
he
yeah.
likes to splash. Do you like to splash too? Yeah, sometimes that can be really fun. So we wanted to give you some more ideas of different things you can do to learn about water and play in the water. So hopefully, oh, it is going to let me. I'm going to share some slides. And for parents who are watching, we are going to share these slides out. So there are some links in here, and you'll get the links so that you can have all of the different activities that we're going to show you today. So we want to talk a little bit about some ways that you can take your child to look at different bodies of water or learn a little bit more. So places like state parks and forests, they often have accessible trails. So if it's challenging to walk or, just get out in nature, sometimes that's a little tricky. State parks and forests in your local area and in your state often have accessible trails that you can go on. They also sometimes have accessible water recreation. So things like canoeing or kayaking, and they can help you if that might be a little tricky for your body, but they have special equipment that can help make it easier for you and help you learn more about some fun things you can do on the water. And then we can also think about going fishing, if that's a thing that you like. So some places have fishing clubs that do adaptive fishing. So for some of our friends, it can be really hard to hold on to a fishing pole or to pull that motion. And there are adaptive fishing poles that some of these places have, and they can help you learn about that. The slide includes a link to find ones that are near you. So you'll be able to search by your state and location. If you are somebody who likes to fish, most states, you need a fishing license to do that. So you need something that says it's okay for you to go fishing. Kids and often individuals with disabilities can get free fishing licenses. So there's no cost to families. You can also, if maybe you're not a person who wants to go fishing, but you want to learn more about fish, you can see if there's a pet store near you. And then you can get up close and you can look in the fish tanks and you can see lots of different kinds of fish. There might be really big fish and really little fish. And we can ask about them and learn more about them. Or you could be at home and you could pretend to go fishing. And we can learn about how we catch a fish. We can use a net. I know Sam's got his fishing net and he has a fishing pole. So he's got his little fishing pole with our little pretend worm on the end. This is the kind of worm I like because I don't like to touch a real one. But that's one way we can play fishing. And for parents, you could use some water. These are water toys. So you could put some water in a little sheet pan or in a small container and do some of that splashing like we talked about and just explore, does the fish float or does it sink? You can visit the ocean if you live near an ocean or you're able to get to an ocean. There are lots of oceans around us in New England, and many of them have accessibility options. So if you search for accessible beaches, in this picture, you'll see there's a mat that runs kind of from the wooden ramp onto the beach. So it's a blue mat that sometimes will go on a beach. And it's so that if you use a wheelchair or if walking in the sand is really hard for you, this mat makes it a lot easier to get down closer to the water. And there's a lot of beaches in New England that have this. Some of them also have beach wheelchairs that are available for free or to rent. And that's if it's hard for you to walk in the water or if you have a wheelchair and it doesn't go on the sand very well, those wheelchairs go on the sand and in the water. You can go to a local aquarium, and some of those have touch tanks where you can feel things. And in the little paper that you guys should have gotten in your kit, there's a list of some of the places that we know about in New England that have free tickets for children that have visual impairments or disabilities. There's different aquariums that have touch tanks, so that's one resource for you as well. And some of them have sensory bags or other things that will make your visit more exciting and more interesting so you can learn about it. And then, of course, sometimes we are at home because maybe it's harder for us to get out, or maybe it's one of those days where it's really hot and we don't want to play outside. So you can still play with water inside, right? We can have that water on a tray. We can put water in a little container. We can splash in the bathtub if our grown-up says that that's okay. Maybe it's raining outside, but we can still go outside in the rain and play if a grown-up says that that's okay for you. And some communities have splash pads that are accessible. So I know close to me, there's a local park, and in the summer, they turn on their water park and everything there is accessible. So if your child uses a wheelchair or they have a cane, or they need a little bit of support to walk around, all of these are flat surfaces where they can walk and play. So those are just some ideas. And when you're out in the community or you're thinking about playing with water, some ways to start using your senses to think about that. Does the water have a smell that's different in different areas? So I notice when I go to the lake, there's one kind of smell. And when I go to the ocean, I might smell something different. So maybe think about, what are you smelling when you're near the water? And what are you feeling? Does the sand feel the same in both places? Sometimes the sand at the lake is harder and the sand at the beach is softer, but you can check near you how that feels. And you might be able to feel the wave.
Hey.
Did you want to share something, Sam?
Yes, sir.
What would you like to share?
I like to share water, sir.
He wants to share water on his AAC. Sam, do you want to can you tell Brenda what you just said?
Hey, Brenda, you want to tell me what he's doing about showering and saying what it's like Daddy says is what he's doing, and he wanted some, and also someone something.
You're doing so good, Sam. Sam was trying to let you know that he likes to go to the splash pad and that the sand there is hard.
Sam, thank you so much for sharing that. I love hearing that you're using your senses to learn all different things.
Good job, Sam. Thank
Good
you.
job. You are
Sorry.
welcome. No, that's not sorry. We love sharing. So you can also think about collecting items when you go different places and making an experience book. And if you're not sure what an experience book is, we also have a video that Helene did a couple of months ago on how to make an experience book. So when Damari sends out the information for this session, she can also send you that video on how to make an experience book. And then you can also make a sensory bin at home. You could use the toys that we sent. You can use maybe some shells or different items that you have just around your house to make a little sensory bin to explore the water and different things you might find around. So now I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to share the stage with Helene so that she can talk a little bit about another book and some different activities.
All right, I just had to find that unmute button. It can be tricky to find sometimes. Thank you, Brenda. That was really wonderful. All right, so next I wanted to talk to you about something you may have also received in your box that came to your house, which is the fish craft. And I'm just going to show you, I had fun making my own. Got my little rainbow fish here that I made. Okay, if you have one in your kit, it'll look like this. It's in a bag, and we have to take out the parts to put them together. But what's great about this one is there are directions for you. So you can look at the pictures, and maybe someone in your house can help you follow along. Tells you exactly what to do. And all of the parts have a sticky backing. They're like a sticker. So all you have to do is take off the little back paper and stick it on there. No glue necessary, which is really nice and neat. And another thing I discovered is if you don't like where you first put down your little scales, because I had an oopsie moment. I put one down and said, oh, I really like where that one is. And I wanted to move it. Well, you can do that easily. So it comes right off. They come right off and then go right back on again. So that's kind of fun. And maybe you want to change your mind. Maybe you want the red one on the top and the green one on the bottom. You can play around with that a little bit. So that's kind of fun. All right, and this is a little string so you can hang your fish up when it's done. If you wanted to, you could use a little tack and ask a grown-up if it's okay to find a place to stick that, right? Or you can hang it off of something and it will move around. Looks like it's swimming around. Okay, so if we have time, we can work on one of these together toward the end, but we just wanted to finish sharing some more resources first. If you want to start doing that while we're talking, go right ahead. Don't let me stop you. That is a-okay if you want to be working on your fish while we're doing some more talking. That's fine. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let's hope this works easily. Okay, here we go. And all right, is that working? Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up. That's great. And there's an up-close picture of the fish craft. And you'll notice I'm not that great at art. It's not easy for me. That's hard for me to do art activities and crafts. So what I did, I copied. Is that okay? Oh my goodness. I did exactly what they did. The same colors and the same spots. And I just followed right along. And it made it nice and easy and more fun for me. But you do it your way. All right. So, there we go. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the book. Whoops, excuse me. Struggling with my advancing of slides. I don't know how to go back. Sorry. Not working.
Helene, would it be easier if I share?
Maybe. I'm so sorry. It's giving me troubles. It's just making a beeping sound instead of doing what it's supposed to do. So let me stop sharing. Apologies, everybody. Thank you for your patience. And thank you, Brenda, for helping me.
Sometimes
I just
we
wanted to
ask
show
for a
the
little help when it doesn't work the first time. That's okay.
So can you go to the next slide, please? And I just want to talk about the book. Thank you. Okay, so that's a picture of the book that some of you may have received in the mail called Ocean Anatomy. And I just want to talk about what is in there because there's a lot of things. And the whole title is Ocean Anatomy, the Curious Parts and Pieces of the World Under the Sea. Sounds fascinating, right? So I like this word curious because that means you want to know more. You have questions about something. You want to learn. And for curious kids of all ages, adults too, it's really interesting. This book answers questions like, what is water? What's it made out of? Why is the ocean blue? Why is ocean water salty? I know my lake water is not salty. Why is the ocean salty? Why is that different? What causes tides? Those waves that come up too. Oh my goodness. And then it talks about a few categories of things that have to do with the ocean. So we have our animals, like our sea creatures, and it goes into great detail all about sharks or lobsters, crabs, whales, octopi, all kinds of things that live in the sea. It talks about water vehicles like cargo ships, various types of boats. It talks about tools like fishing poles and buoys that we might find in the water. And what are they for? And nautical signal flags? Oh my goodness. They have a whole code to them. So that's interesting to read about. And then plant life. So there are things like seaweed and beach grasses, on and on. So many, many pages with great details. If there's something you want to know about the ocean, chances are the information is in this book. So you might want to pick a favorite thing to think about and research some more, read about it. There are a lot of great photos and information. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next slide, please. Okay, so these are some activities that you could do that follow some of the topics that are in this ocean anatomy book. But even if you don't have that ocean anatomy book, that's okay, because these are all things that still have to do with the water. And so this is a salt dough starfish activity. And parents, when you get the slides, you'll be able to click on the links for each of these. And it tells you the materials and the directions. And we try to pick all simple things that you probably have the ingredients for around the house, or the materials for around the house. But this one is kind of a mix, because you follow a recipe, you put things together and shape them into a star for a starfish, and you bake it, but you don't eat it. So although it's a recipe and you bake it, it makes a craft. So that's interesting. Okay. And next we have under the sea graham crackers. Ooh, this is right up my alley, something you can make and eat. So this one is fun because it's completely hands-on, and you have your graham crackers, and you can put some blue frosting to look like water, and little goldfish crackers swimming around in that water. And you can add a little broken up crackers for your sand at the bottom, and you can make as many as you want. And that looks really fun. So the directions are on the bottom. This one's a lighthouse craft, because you can read all about lighthouses in the book as well, which is super interesting. And you could connect that to geography. So for parents, we can think about, where are these lighthouses in the world? What are the places like? And you can read about why we have lighthouses in the first place. What do they do? But this craft at the top has a little pretend tea light, the kind that's not a real flame, right? Works off a battery. So it's safe. And it's just made with little plastic cups. And you put it together with the tea light on top, and you can light it up. And I like how they show it here with a little kind of beach scene. So if you did one of your beach sensory bins with a little bit of sand and shells that maybe you collect, or that you get at a craft store, that works too, for those of you that might not get to the beach. You could go ahead and put this lighthouse in there for fun. I like that one. Oh, here's a tide pools experiment. Okay, so this one just uses kind of a pan, a baking pan, and they put some sand in there, and you put some shells, and then you start adding some water. In this case, they put a little bit of blue dye in the water just to look a little bit more like ocean water. And then you can make waves by pressing down on that water. You could take a cup and do it. And then you see what happens to the water. And you can kind of see how erosion takes place, how the water starts to kind of soak up some of that sand, bring it toward the front. And then you can put, if you like, little play toy animals in there, some kind of sea type of creatures, and then see what happens to them. Are they above water? Are they underwater? And you can read all about tide pools in that ocean anatomy book too, to make that connection. So that's pretty fun. Okay, and here's an ocean sensory bottle. So we were able to find so many examples of these online. So we just took a really simple one and put the link to that there. But you can go ahead and take just a water bottle that you've used, and then add some Johnson's baby oil, as you see there, right? A little bit of sand. You can add some little shells and things like that. And then you put the cover on really tightly. And then when you turn it, you can see what happens with the sand and the water, and it'll make a neat sound. It's fun to look at, it's fun to feel, all of those things. Okay, and here are some books. We love the CVI book Nook, right? So on that website, and the link is on the bottom, you can find these two books that go well with our topic for today. And the Beach Toys one pairs nicely as a story kit because you'll see all of the things that are in the story are things you would get in a little sand toy kit that you might find at like your Dollar General or what have you, right? So they have the pail and the shovel and the little rake. So as you're reading through, you can have the real objects in a bin, pull them out one by one, look at them, talk about their features, what shapes are they, what colors, how do they feel, how are they used, all of that piece. And then the buoyant beach balls allows you to talk about some math because we start out with 5 beach balls and they start to go away one by one. So that's fun too. And you can get those beach balls also at your dollar store. Okay. Here are links to 2 different types of virtual ocean field trips. So maybe on a day that you're not wanting to go to the actual ocean and you're at home, you can just go ahead and look at one of these videos and it'll feel like you're at the ocean. And they go into detail and they have great photography, underwater photography of real ocean animals. So that can be a fun way to explore things up close. What's nice about a video too is that you can slow down the pace, right? When you're playing it back, the playback speed, you can put that at half speed and go slowly, or you can stop and pause and really examine the details of the different animals and plant life under there. So that's really fun too. And here are some links to some sound effects, which links nicely to what Brenda was talking about earlier, that the sound of water is different depending on where you are or where the water's coming from. So we have some ocean sounds, some lake sounds, river flowing sounds, a babbling brook, and then the water sound effects that are audio only, they have little labels on them, adults, so you can see which each one is, but there's one with seagulls at the water, and then waves and all different types, bath water running, dripping. So you can talk about, oh, the water's moving fast or slow, it's loud or soft. So that's kind of fun. You can play a game with that. And speaking of games, here's a guessing game you can play. And what this is when you follow the link, it'll take you to a presentation much like this one, not with people speaking, but with slides. And it gives you little hints about an animal. It'll tell you, I'm thinking of an animal that has 4 legs, a tail, etc., things like that. And then you guess what animal you think they're describing. Then you press a little reveal button and it has a picture with the label of what type of animal it is. So that can be a fun way to learn more about animals from the ocean. And just a few more connections and extensions. So we just had World Ocean Day on June 8th. So it was really kind of timely that we had this family story time today. And we have a link here to earthsky.org where you can find out a lot more information about World Ocean Day. And then there's a link specifically to a video that's nice and short and gives you a lot of good information about why World Ocean Day is important. And if you'd like, you can take some of their ideas about how to help our oceans stay healthy. So we can think about pollution, because unfortunately, sometimes our garbage, our plastic ends up in the water, and that's not good for animals. It's not good for us. It's not good for the earth. So they talk about steps to improve the quality of the oceans. And we talked about that when we talked about beach cleanup as being a fun activity you might do when you go to the beach someday. Pick up some of the trash that you see, and that can help our ocean. And then the next is a really exciting opportunity to join Vermont Hands and Voices at the Eco Science and Nature Museum in Burlington. So that's coming up on July 12th from 10 to 1. As far as I know, the sign up for that has not yet occurred. They just sent out a save the date. So when we get more information about that, we can be sure to share that out with you. All right, and that, I believe, concludes our slides. Okay, and so now we're thinking families, if you have some questions, or students, my goodness. Oh, this is about the students, right? So Bradley and Sam and families, if you have questions for us, we're happy to answer those. And you can work on your fish if you'd like to. We can do that. So I guess I'd like to add, does anyone have any questions for us or comments? Things you want to talk about today? You've been such a good audience.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining and for
Did you have
really
fun?
paying attention.
Yes.
It's not easy to pay attention for a long period of time. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This was excellent. I got so many great tips, and I love Brenda, thank you for the accessibility information, because last year we had some problems at a couple different beaches trying to get in. So I'll look for those treads and the chairs.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
definitely places in New England that I personally have used that have those, and it can be really helpful because sometimes even our friends that are able to walk pretty well on a flat surface have a lot of trouble on the sand, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to get down closer to the water. Yeah. And
That was
I
new.
saw Bradley using his fishing pole the whole thing.
We have an avid fisher.
Having fun with that.
I was having a field day. He whacked me a couple of times with it.
I mean, it was a plastic worm, not a real worm, so that's probably better.
We're having fun.
I see.
Gotta be his sister.
I see you have your rod, Sam.
Oh, I hear a sister. See, sometimes we can play the water games, or we can listen to stories with the people that are in our house with us too.
Yep.
Nice. All right. Any other questions for us or comments? Or do you want to talk about what you're going to do this summer? Is there anything fun you're going to be doing this summer? I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. Tell Helene where you're going. So this is perfect.
What's it doing? This is working.
Are you going to York, Maine?
Yeah.
And are you going to the ocean?
Yeah.
And are you going to the aquarium?
Yeah.
So
Oh
we're
my
gonna
goodness.
see all kinds of fish. And Sam, are you excited?
Yeah.
Are you going with your cousins?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I hope you're going to keep track and share. I hope you can maybe either take some pictures or maybe gather up some shells or just some things. I would love to, or even a map or I don't know, a brochure from a museum or whatever you're going to. That would be so fantastic to have you share those.
Yeah.
Love to hear about that.
Yeah, thank you for the sensory bin information. We'll definitely, his cousins and himself and Sam can make the oil one and the bin with the sand in it. They go to tidal pools and they like to pick up all the starfish or sea stars and everything and talk about them. So that was great.
And there's a lot of those at York Beach, Sam. You'll have a lot of fun there. And there's lots of fun things to smell because near York Beach, there's a place that makes candy. And sometimes when you walk near the beach, you can smell the candy.
Oh, wow. Sounds heavenly.
Did you learn that?
Yeah.
From here?
Uh-huh.
Sam, what did you see last year?
Last year was doing around speak. Now I doing some other thing. Then was thought about this thing was thought about that.
Sam said he's going to talk about fishing with his cousins. Last year, they went on the taffy presentation that they have near the goldenrod. Is that what you're talking about, Brenda? Yeah, he really enjoys that, and they'll go again because he loves that one.
Nice. That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things to do near our beaches. all sorts of things. There's a lighthouse in York, so you might be able to do the lighthouse activity. Lots of fun things. And I know that
Nice.
Bradley lives near some water, so I bet he's going to spend some time around his house this summer too. So we're excited for all of our summer activities.
The little
Nice.
beach where we can go onto the lake from our house.
Very nice.
Wow.
And Bradley's obviously going to take up fishing as his brand new hobby.
He's loving it.
Nice.
Well, thank you all
Okay.
very much for joining us today. We'll make sure that Damari sends out the slides, and you'll have all of the information. And this has been recorded, so you'll also get the recording. And if you have any questions, we're still happy to stay on. We'll stop recording in a second. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes. But you also can always reach out to us here at NEC if you have any questions about other activities you might do, or if you're a teacher that works with students and you're looking for ideas, we're happy to help with that too. But thank you, and I hope you all have a
Yes.
wonderful summer.